When Elissa caught her husband Carson cheating on her, Carson showed no emotions of guilt or surprise. He very calmly stood beside the bed and stared at Elissa with coldness, something Elissa never saw. The woman in Carson's arm covered herself with the duvet, draping herself while keeping her face lowered as if she was the victim in this situation. She pretended to be innocent and glanced at Elissa with her round eyes and then at Carson, who had his eyes on Elissa hooded. Elissa gulped hardly and took steps toward him. Carson stood unfazed, as if what deed he did was nothing he was ashamed of. With her trembling hands, Elissa breathed, "How could you?" Tears rolled down her cheeks and her chest tightened to the utmost. Carson gave her a cold look, and then his hazel eyes moved to the report in her hand. "What is this about?" he asked, sounding impatient. Elissa stared at the report and bit her lip hard as the tears flowed vehemently. All the excitement and hope dissipated in thin air. She met Carson's eyes and broke the news of her pregnancy. "I am pregnant, Carson." Carson's eyes widened, but his surprised expression soon turned into disgust. Elissa watched him clenching his jaws as if he wasn't happy to hear the news, and it pained her more and more. At that moment, Carson's mother Hera entered, and just as she was expecting the scenario to be, it was just that. She hid her smile and shared glances with Amanda, the woman who wore Carson's shirt. "Carson, why did you cheat me with her?" Elissa demanded by grabbing his both arms with her weak ones. Carson removed her grip from his arm as if sickened by her touch. Her heart crumbled and was in the state of breaking completely. "You ask about cheating, Eli? Then what about you?" he thundered. Elissa couldn't reciprocate what he meant by that. Carson went on, "You are the one who cheated on me first." "What?" Elissa was traumatized by his allegations against her. This wasn't Carson. "What are you talking about? You are the one cheating on me, and now you blame it on me?" Carson went to his side of the nightstand and opened the first drawer. From there, he took out a few photographs and showed the first one to Elissa. "It is you, isn't it?" he said through his gritted teeth, anger radiating from him. A filthy photograph of her and a strange man made her gasp. She snatched the photo from his hand and examined it closely. "No, it wasn't her, but the picture had her face. This is not true. It isn't me, Carson," she protested, but she had already fallen into a big trap. "Your mouth can lie, but this picture will not," he bellowed, and threw the pictures at her, which went flying on the ground. "For how long have you been cheating on me, Elissa?" "Carson, believe me, it's not me. I would never do such a thing to you," she begged, but it wasn't of any use. She reached to hold his hand, but he jerked away. "How shameful. I knew you are filth." Hera chimed in, pretending to be new to the truth. "How dare you cheat my son behind his back?" She stepped forward and forcefully grabbing Elissa's arm, she made her face her. "Tell me, is that child in your womb that Nan's?" Elissa was aghast at what her mother-in-law said. "No, it's ours. It's mine and Carson's." She defended herself and she placed her palm on her belly. "Carson, believe me. The pictures aren't true," she went on begging him. Seeing Elissa in such a pathetic state stirred something in Carson's chest. He refused to look at her and clenched his jaws hardly. Elissa bawled. "How can this happen?" she cried. She looked down at the pictures, wondering who would frame her like this. She had no idea who that man was, but even if she kept on protesting, there wasn't any use for that. "Let's divorce," Carson stated. Elissa's face paled hearing the news, and her mind went numb and cold. He met her eyes and repeated the words, "I want to end this marriage." Elissa couldn't believe her ears. "No, Carson, you cannot do this to me." We can resolve this, can't we?" How naive of her to still have hope for that. Carson shook her head in dismissal. There wasn't any room left for resolution and discussion. "But we love each other. How can you end this just in a blink?" she shouted. "I do not love you anymore, Elissa. We are over." No emotions, nothing. His hazel eyes held no emotions at all. It was as if he was doing a business meeting. It felt to her as if she meant nothing to her anymore. "No, I don't buy that. We took vows to love and cherish each other to the end." Then you should have kept that in mind when you were hooking with that man behind my back, he snapped at her. Amanda walked towards him and slid her arm around his. Don't be mad, she said tenderly and acted intimate. Elissa felt like puking, seeing the two acting close. Since when did these two start to get close, and why was she not aware of that? I have called my lawyer. He has prepared the divorce papers and we only need to sign on that, he asserted as a matter of fact. Elissa was angry, pained, and traumatized. She felt like a fool who thought she had the best husband who doted on her dearly. Seeing him completely fine when Amanda brushed her fingers delicately on his chest made her wonder about the time when he said that he hated when any other woman tried to be intimate with him other than her. She let out a bitter laugh and wiped her tears roughly. Is she the reason you're divorcing me? Without a change in his expression, he answered, Yes, I love her. Those words damaged her internally. Okay, I will sign the divorce papers. What was the use of begging when he didn't even love her? Carson faltered a bit but regained his composure again. Clearing his throat, he said, Good. At that, Hera and Amanda were on cloud 9. What they have planned was working. They both shared a knowing smile. Amanda told in between, We love each other very much. Sorry, but this wasn't the way you should have found out. Elissa ignored her words completely. She felt like an outsider once again in this room. A sudden, odd feeling that wasn't able to comprehend. Now, she thought that there was only her and her baby. However, Hera had different plans for that. After you sign the papers, you will go to the hospital for abortion. Elissa was staggered. No, I will not abort the baby. Carson, tell her to abort the baby, she ordered her son. Elissa had thought that no matter what, Carson wouldn't be that heartless to abandon her own child. Gulping and with a tensed expression, he said what his mother wanted. You will go to the hospital for the abortion. What? You heard him. I don't want you to have anything related to our family. How could they be so cruel? Elissa's heart and trust were completely shattered. She never thought she would have to see a day like this. What are you waiting for? Go and sign the divorce papers. Carson sighed heavily and was the first one to proceed. Elissa mustered her leftover courage and went after him. Hera and Amanda walked after them, snickering among themselves about their successful plan. The lawyer was already present in the living room, along with the divorce papers kept on the rectangular glass table. The members took their seats on the couch and chairs. Elissa was trembling, and tears wouldn't stop flowing from her eyes. Carson took the pen and, without wasting any second, signed the papers quickly. At each paper he signed, Elissa felt her chest tighten to the utmost, which made her unable to breathe. Carson was done, and he shifted the papers to Elissa. Elissa grabbed the pen with her trembling hand and read the words which were written boldly on the first page. Divorce agreement, divorce agreement. Do it quick, Hera urged with annoyance. Elissa signed, and with that, the divorce was settled. From now on, they were no more husband and wife. From now on, she and Carson have no relationship. Now, Elissa was left with nothing. I will proceed this to the court. It will be done within 2 days, the lawyer said, and took his leave. Take her to the hospital now, Hera said. Elissa saw Carson curling his fingers into a fist, sitting beside her. She peered her gaze up, but instead of what she desired, she found the indifference on his face. Carson rose and told Elissa to come with him. Wait, I will come too, Hera articulated. She couldn't trust her son at the moment. After all, she was carrying his blood, and it wouldn't take time for him to soften his heart. No one said anything, and the four left for the hospital in the car. At the hospital, Dr. Schuyler was surprised and happy to see Elissa and her family, because she thought Elissa had revealed the good news to her family. But the moment she noticed her red and lifeless eyes, she wasn't happy anymore. Oh. They came inside her cabin and demanded her abortion. Dr. Schuyler was shocked at the request, but didn't dare ask anything. The sooner the better, Hera added at last. Schuyler frowned at the indifference of the members. All right, I will arrange for the operation. Except for Elissa, you all are requested to go out. Once they all left, Skylar came beside Elissa and asked, "What happened, Elissa?" She could see Elissa was trying to control her tears and kept her head lowered. "Dear, you can tell me. If they are forcing you or anything, please tell me." Elissa grabbed her hand tightly and told her briefly about what happened. "I want to keep the baby. Please, please, doctor, helps me." Dr. Skylar's heart clenched in pain, knowing about her situation. "Please, I don't want to abort my child. Help me, doctor," Elissa begged her. Dr. Skylar's heart ached because she has been in a similar situation before. She felt that Elissa was too pitiful and remembered her little sister once faced the same situation. "Don't worry, I will help you." Elissa stares at the lights that were attached to the ceiling of the operation room. She was lying on the operating bed with her both hands placed on her belly. Dr. Skylar told her she would help her keep the baby, and Elissa trusted her. Her eyes wandered towards the door, waiting for the sign for Dr. Skylar. Meanwhile, Dr. Skylar was informing Hera and the others that they were not allowed to stay outside of the operation room. "Our hospital rules say that," she told when Hera asked for the reason. "Please wait in the waiting room." Hera made a face but agreed. Hera told Carson to come with her, but Carson didn't want to leave. Glancing the door for one last time, he went to the ground floor where the waiting room resided. Once Dr. Skylar came in, Elissa's heart was in relief. She pushed herself to sit, keeping her palm on her belly protectively, and looked at the doctor with her tearful eyes. "Doctor, it's the..." "Don't worry, Elissa. I've promised to help you, and I will." Seeing how vulnerable Elissa was, Dr. Skylar felt bad for her. She assured her that nothing would happen to her or the baby. She then asked the 2 intern nurses to leave and asked for the head nurses to stay put. Once the nurses left, she told them about her plan. "Understood?" she asked after explaining the plan. Carson offered $5 million and handed it to her. The check was still in her hand, crumpled inside her closed palm. She couldn't take the money. "Yes," she said, and Dr. Skylar gave her a small smile. Elissa would have to do it, for her and her baby. She then gave Dr. Skylar the $5 million check, which was given by Carson. "Please return this to him." Dr. Skylar glanced at the check, and a large amount of money written on it. She could understand how Elissa must have felt. She sighed and nodded. "Isla, you will take Elissa to the back door. Wait for me outside the back door and make sure no one sees you," she articulated to the head nurse. The nurse named Isla nodded. Since they didn't have much time with themselves, they needed to hurry. Isla grabbed Elissa by her hand, and the 2 exited out of the doors. Once she found the area was clear, she led her to the ground floor through the stairs. After they ambled down the stairs, Isla made Elissa wear a mask for precaution. "Don't worry." She gave a light squeeze to her hand in assurance. Elissa could only nod as a response. The back door has located in the corner most left of the storeroom. Elissa and Isla cautiously walked further and towards the direction of the storeroom. On their way, another nurse asked, "Where are you taking her?" Elissa panicked and held Isla's hand tightly. She needed to use the washroom. Isla lied. The nurse gave her a skeptical look at the way Elissa was panicking. The nurse left luckily, and the 2 made their way quickly towards the back door. There wasn't anyone present near the storeroom, and so they hurried before anyone came. Isla managed to take Elissa out of the back door and went to where Dr. Skylar's car was parked. Dr. Skylar has given Isla the car keys and told her to carefully take Elissa inside. "You stay here until the doctor comes for you. I need to get back, quickly," Isla asserted. She saw Isla going inside through the door and hoped for Dr. Skylar to come soon. Dr. Skylar went to the ground floor to face Hera and the others. On her way to the waiting room, she noticed Isla coming from the other side. She asked Isla through signals and was relieved to find that Elissa was safely waiting in her car. Now she had to tell the family and leave soon. Reaching the waiting room, she saw only Hera and the other woman sitting on the metal seats. She walked toward them and told them the news. "The operation is successful." Hera and Amanda shared a smile. "Where is she?" Hera asked with a distant tone, peering behind Dr. Skylar. Straightening her round glasses, Dr. Skylar said, "Unfortunately, Miss Elissa left immediately after that. She didn't say anything, and she asked me to give you this." She handed the check to Hera and exited the room. Hera narrowed her eyes to the check in her hand. Angered, she crumpled the paper in her hand and threw it aside. "That wench dared to run." Amanda gently tried to assure Hera. "Don't be so angry, Aunt. We should think from another perspective." Hera raised her eyebrow at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean, we should be glad that she left on her own, and the money is saved. We can tell Carson that she ran away with the money." Hera took a moment to think for a while. She felt Amanda was right indeed. She would have told Elissa to leave the city anyway, but she had already done it before her orders. "You are right. When he will know how greedy and heartless that woman is, he will forget about her forever," she sneered. She then placed her palm on Amanda's shoulder and smiled. "Amanda, from now on you should address me as Mom, okay?" Amanda was elated. Now that she had the full approval of Hera, it wouldn't take her long to seduce Carson and marry him soon. Just then, Hera got the phone call from Carson. She accepted the call and brought her phone close to her ear. "How is it? The operation is done or not?" Hera glanced at Amanda, and after she gave a nod, she said what they have planned just now. "Yes, son, the operation is successful, but she ran away." "What?" "The doctor told us that Elissa ran away right after the operation was done, along with the money. How cruel and greedy of her."